been just a tad bit obsessed with genealogy lately. When she first signed up for Ancestry.com, she had no idea that she'd soon come across the years of research a third cousin had put into building one side of her family tree. Thanks to that cousin, Ginny can trace her maternal grandfather's side of the family back to about 400 in Wales.
Wow.
This morning, though, it is the research into her maternal grandmother's side of the family that has uncovered a piece of history that might be even more compelling. Here's Ginny to tell us more.
How many people here have been to the Bahamas? Have you? Here it's nice, but I've never actually been. I have a very strong ancestral connection to those islands, though. Green Turtle Cay, to be specific, but I'll get to that. I am a 7th generation Floridian on my maternal grandmother's side of the family, the British side of the family, and a 5th generation Floridian on the Cuban side of that family. Although there have been rumors for years that the Cuban side of the family had actually been in Florida since the earliest days of St. Augustine, but went to Cuba after Florida went to the British. The British side of my family, however, is another story altogether. In a little bit of research I've been able to do on Ancestry.com, I discovered that that side of the family began to arrive in Key West in the mid-1830s. I'm exceedingly proud to say that my family were real and true actual conchs. Are you familiar with that term, conchs?
Yes.
That term is often used in reference to Key Westers, specifically who were born in Key West. The term freshwater conchs refers to people who were not born in Key West but had lived there for quite some time. You may have heard of the Conch Republic. That happened about 30 years ago when, in protest to a border blockade, Key West declared their independence. That, of course, didn't last very long, nor did it go anywhere, but the idea of the Conch Republic still lives strong down there, at least on t-shirts and decorative plates. The true and original meaning of a conch, however, was actually in reference to people of European descent who were born in the Bahamas and immigrated to Key West. After Key West was claimed by the United States in the early 1820s, more and more immigrants from the Bahamas started to arrive. And my ancestors were some of the first to arrive on the island. What I hadn't realized prior to my research into that side of the family, however, was that people who lived in the Bahamas after the Revolution were actually British loyalists. British loyalists. Now, let me step back to tell you that on my father's side of the family and on my maternal grandfather's side of the family, I have all the proof I need to not only become a daughter of the Confederacy, a daughter of the Union veterans of the Civil War, and a member of the DAR, the Daughters of the American Revolution. Wow. But now I can claim loyalists on that flip side as well. All of my ancestral connection to this aside, this is not something that I remember having given any thought to in history lessons. If I learned it, I'd forgotten it. And my mother, who was a history major in college, I don't think it ever occurred to her either. It was my uncle, who was a professor of political science at SMU, who was the first to say, I wonder if they were loyalists. Before it ever occurred to any of us, we always just figured that our people were either pirates or salvagers who were lighting fires on the beaches to lure ships to their demise, or maybe we were missionaries who were there to save the souls of the pirates and the salvagers. So here's the story. Aside from the melange of pirates, religious dissidents, and missionaries, the Bahamas had been uninhabited for nearly 300 years after the indigenous people of the island had died off, thanks mostly to the diseases that the Spanish had brought to them. The Treaty of Versailles, however, gave control of the Bahamas back to the British, and Florida returned to the Spanish. Now, Florida had not been part of the American Revolution, so approximately 8,000 loyalists had made their home here in Florida prior to the Revolution. After the treaty, they had nowhere to go but to go to the Bahamas as refugees in the Bahamas. The land of the Bahamas was divided up amongst the refugees via land grant, and soon small towns began to appear. One of the first towns to appear was New Plymouth on Green Turtle Cay, where my ancestors were from. The clapboard-sided homes that they had built resembled the ones they'd left in New England. The crops they planted very much resembled the ones that they planted before. But the cash crops of things like cotton soon depleted the soil, the very thin soil that the Bahamas had. And by the mid-1830s, the mass migration to Key West was begun. I haven't been able to find much information about the ancestors from that side of the family who were born in the Bahamas, but I'm close. Just last night, as I was obsessively Googling grave markers in Green Turtle Cay, I came across Careys and Bakers, all who may be some of those great greats I've been looking for, which may very well mean that I might soon be close to tracing my family to Florida prior to 1783. Wow. And if not to Florida, then certainly to the States, again, on that side of the family. I once saw a psychic with a friend of mine, just for the fun of it. And when I sat down in front of her, one of the first things she said to me was, "Your people have been here since dirt, haven't they?" And so it seems. And some of them were patriots, but some of them weren't. Thank you.